So social justice math happens when students are solving problems using real, engaging, and meaningful numbers. So the social justice issues happening in their school, community, or even globally become the context for the math that the students are doing.
What do we do in our communities where the parents are not necessarily as accepting, and that you're running towards each other and it's not pretty? How do you, in terms of the math, did you say to your parents we're going to be having a discussion based on first, or did you just no?
No, I find that if you teach all the isms, it kind of backs you. I'm not just a single issue person. I realize we showed you single issue, but you want to see some great work my students have done around autism, around the environment, let me know. You can come in and visit. But if I teach all the isms, and sometimes I can hide it a little bit in the math, and what I mean is I can say, I'm just teaching your kid about division. I'm so sorry that you feel that way. So I teach in a 4 or 5 classroom, and one of my students was being bullied for the perception that she was a lesbian. So at first when the kids were spreading the rumor from class to class, she took it really strongly. Oh, who cares, fine, I'm gay, whatever. And as it went from class to class to class, and the comments became more hateful and hurtful, that's when the kids got me involved. And when I spoke to her about it, what she kept saying to me was, Miss Gunn, I swear I'm not gay. I'm not gay. And I kept saying back to her, I don't care if you're gay. It should be okay to be gay. So I thought, what can I do to give this girl her dignity back? So the first activity in this inquiry is around the pink triangle. If you're not familiar with it, the pink triangle was a badge of shame that the Nazis made gay men wear during the Holocaust. So what we did is take a look at all the different badges of shame that people would have been wearing. And what's kind of neat for kids is they realized pretty quick we would have all been wearing a badge for one reason or another. Now mathematically where we were is looking at different types of triangles. So looking at angle and side measurements to be able to tell us, is it isosceles, is it equilateral, is it scaling? So that was the math aspect. But more importantly was the thinking that went into it. So what I did is found graphs from the EGAL booklet, Creating Safer and Accepting Schools. And what I had students do is in groups is take a look at one of the graphs and tell the class the story that your graph tells. What's happening in our schools right now that makes it still matter if someone's LGBTQ? So some of the graphs looked at where LGBTQ students are being bullied, what kind of bullying's happen. This one happens to look at frequency of comments. So almost daily, kids are hearing that's still gay, they're still hearing faggot, they're still hearing lesbian, they're hearing all of these words daily. The next group looked at feeling upset by homophobic comments. And my one group was really upset by people not being upset. They were saying the fact that only 5.6% of non-LGBT kids care when they hear these things, that upsets me. And my boys put up his hand and said, I'm one of those people and I'm extremely upset. And more importantly, they looked at not bothered at all, that people don't care that this has happened. And they're like, over 40% of kids don't care when they hear this. And that was a big problem for me. And I know you can't read some of their math writing and things in there, but basically, they came up with the concept of we're all the same, and we need to make a change. We're all the same.
So Pink Day this week created some very interesting visitors before school.
Right.
As to, we didn't put our children in pink, we don't want you to talk to them about them, and you don't want to call them out that they're not wearing pink, so therefore, and it's like, it's got nothing to do with it.
Right.
I'm not sure that the education piece has hit all those people yet that we need to, so it's a matter of how we're getting that message out effectively.
Yeah, one thing that I'd like to say about that is, call that convoluted diagram of the 5 factors. Sometimes it's not discrimination itself that keeps us in places. It's sometimes the way that we do business in a board. And communication with parents has traditionally been a parents' night and a newsletter. We're moving to a different place, I think, in many communities in Ontario where communication with parents needs to be reinvented. So why not have a town hall twice a year where the parents populate the questions, the topics with what they'd like answers to. And part of it as boards is, are we in the business of managing a message or inviting dialogue? And sometimes boards, I'm not going to speak about our own or point fingers, but I think sometimes in public institutions we like to manage the message because we want to avoid conflict. And that produces more conflict. We also have a commitment to a diversity of diversities. And if the Day of Pink, for instance, reveals that a school is very good at doing the Day of Pink, but if a parent were to ask, so how is Diwali integrated in the curriculum as opposed to a poster or a samosa? Or how is Ramadan more so than an announcement, but a part of the integrative learning that we do in the school? Then schools need to look at themselves very honestly and say, you know what? We have a duty to teach to a diversity of diversities. Because I'm convinced that most parents have good intentions. What they don't know is what they don't know, and that's where we need to do a better job of telling them what we do, but also living up to that commitment for so many years, saying that equity should be the core driver of curriculum. And we're currently in a context where that exposure is getting us exposed and sometimes getting boards and teachers and classrooms and parents all hot and bothered. Sometimes that is what we need, I guess, to move us to say that equity is not an add-on, it is the foundation for everything.
And it's not one day a year.
And it's not one day a year.
If you don't want to send your kid to school on the day of pink, that's okay, but they're going to get it all the days before. They're going to have got it in September, and they're going to get it after. So one day, we're not about one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have ageism,
Yeah.
classism,
Yeah.
sexism,
Yeah.
racism,
Yeah.
faith as an ism,
Yeah.
ableism,
Yeah.
and
Stop.
heterosexism.
Yeah.
Is gay a bad word?
No.
No. The word gay just means two people of the same sex that love each other. And it's not a bad word to say gay. It's only a bad word if you use it to hurt someone's feelings. You can love whoever you want, but it's not okay to make fun of people for it. Turn to a partner. What ism is this talking about?
I think sometimes we are dealing with controversial issues, but I think we have to. I think kids are just like little people, and they've got to learn how to get along. And I think sometimes human rights and equality, they trump our personal beliefs. And I know specifically with heterosexism, that's one of the ones that we deal with a lot. People believe they can use those to hate other people and to discriminate. So it's our job to let kids know that it's not okay.
What if a girl hugs another girl and says like I love you? Doesn't matter.
Big deal, right? Because we can love
They can
whoever
be-
we want to love.